Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing The Craft, Legacy, and also maybe Democracy? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Joining me tonight, first up, from a state that I forgot. I don't know who your state voted for, John, because I don't remember what state it is. Please, John, welcome to the show.
It's Maryland.
Right,
And
right.
pretty blue. Pretty
Right.
solid blue.
Crabs. I remember
It
now.
was one of the ones they called at 8 p.m.
Yeah, same.
You know,
I was on one
boom,
of those.
just,
Yeah.
you know,
I didn't even check to see if
0%
they...
reporting blue.
Yeah. I didn't even have a chance to check to see if they got my absentee ballot, John, because it didn't matter. Next up on the show from the heartland of America, Joe, you got a lot of splaining to do. Please welcome Joe to the show.
Oh, I got no splaining. Illinois blue, Milwaukee or Wisconsin blue. We're the blue wall here.
Cheese eaters really coming through. It's
Yeah,
funny because your
yeah,
your video's blue tonight too, so it's kind of perfect.
Yeah. Call me Mr. Blue.
And last up tonight on the show, just a real hero tonight joining us. Like, what are we, Cece, now? Weeks from giving life?
Yes.
Creating,
Literally,
like giving,
yeah.
like she's like donating it, or
We just saw Baby
feels like. I
reach
feel
up
like
and
it's
wave on camera.
being given to someone else.
Oh yeah, no, that happens. Yeah, and it continues happening, and it happens to
Look,
fathers
I'm
as well.
trying to birth a new generation over here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're technically 4.5 tonight, right? Like that.
Yeah.
colon legacy.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Well, Cece, we thank you for joining us tonight because the last thing the world needs is 40-year-old white dudes talking about the Craft legacy. So thank you for being here.
Of course.
It could have gotten dicey.
I mean, it probably still will, but now we have an excuse.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, the Craft legacy, directed by Zoe Lister-Jones, a person Joe swears he knows a bunch about. We're gonna put that to the test later.
I don't know about bunch, but
First up, Joe, what are we drinking tonight?
Beer guts.
oh, hey, beer guts. So the Craft legacy. I mean, we all know the story of the Craft. For young lasses learning their witchy ways and struggling with high school and Twitters and TikToks and God knows what else is going on with the kids these days. Molly, Radiohead, Imagine
These
Dragons.
days, what year is it?
Just Trapper Keepers.
Maybe
Caboodles,
Ma-
although there was a caboodle and I was very excited to see it.
Listen, maybe Molly, definitely not Radiohead.
Anyway, so the Craft. I picked a beer from first-time brewery for us, Little Beaver Brewery. They're in Bloomington, Illinois, and the beer I picked from them is their Brain Magic, John. Which, at the heart of it, and Cece, I'm sure you can confirm, Brain Magic is what witches all have. I'll take that giggle as a confirmation of my summary of witch-like culture. So Brain Magic is a double dry hopped hazy IPA. I've obviously done a lot of hazy IPAs as of late. Just, a lot of cloud in there, very drinkable, a good amount of hop aroma, but not a lot of like sort of bitterness punching you in the face. So like super drinkable, very popular over like the last couple of years. Double dry hop pretty much just means that they add dry hops towards the end of the brewing process. So you get a lot more of that aroma because pretty much the brewing process you add hops throughout the brewing to get hop flavor in there, but the boil kind of burns off those oils and you don't really get the aroma. So when you add hops at the end, you kind of pack on that aroma that you get to.
I understand bongs, Joe.
Yeah. So anyway, this one comes in at 6.9 or about 7% alcohol. So it's up there, which, might help a lot of us these days, especially over the next 48 hours or so. So this is actually the first beer I've ever had from Little Beaver, but I was a big fan of it. I really enjoyed it, so I definitely will be checking out their other stuff. Their website, if you're interested, is lilbeaverbrewery.com.
I'm not now.
It's like the time my mother-in-law went to dicks.com.
How was that experience for her?
about how it sounds.
Enlightening.
You might want to spell Lil just so people, get that. Just nail it.
L-I-L. Lil. I mean, Little Beaver Brewery. I'm sure. Did somebody else get that? Now I'm interested. I'm not on my work computer. I am going to look up littlebeaver.com after this.
Oh, God.
But anyway, great stuff.
Joe,
Definitely check them
Joe.
out if you can.
Not on your work computer, okay?
Whatever. I mean, at this point, they couldn't fire me if they wanted to. I don't know how we're wrapping this up, but it's good. Just go drink it.
All right.
And I'm done.
Love it. All right, guys. It is time. Let's take a quick break and talk about the craft legacy.
This is it, Senator. Your big break in TV. Of the prime time. Main feature.
And we're back. John,
Yes, Eric.
I'm excited because your hair looks gorgeous tonight, but I'm a little bummed out that you're not giving me the puddle of mud thing from last week.
I like to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
When it's flowing this well, you kind of you got to let it.
Fair.
you gotta let
The
it go.
humidity's low.
What I want to know is if you're using the shampoo bar.
Oh, yeah.
Still on the regular shampoo. The shampoo bar, my mother-in-law bought that for my father-in-law. Like, I'm not, I don't get.
See,
not
so you
getting involved
don't
there.
put a shampoo bar in hair that looks like that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry, I have very nice hair and I use a shampoo bar.
Wow. Well,
Ooh,
John's bougie.
no comment.
Yeah. Tell a pregnant woman her hair looks
Yeah,
ugly.
Your
seriously,
hair
what the
is
fuck?
wonderful.
Your hair is very full and luscious.
In fact,
don't know
I
what
have
the problem
never
is here.
seen more lustrous hair.
My wife favorably compared me to a Labrador Retriever earlier this week.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
Were you
feeling
like,
pretty good.
were you doing that thing where you scrape your ass across the carpet like at the time? Like one of those?
No comment on that either.
All right, John.
Yeah.
Please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word, androcentrism.
Okay.
Wow.
Even I can figure out what that means.
Androcentrism. Androcentrism is the practice, conscious or otherwise, of placing a masculine point of view at the center of one's worldview, culture, and or history, thereby culturally marginalizing femininity. I'm reading from the Wikipedia because there wasn't like a clean dictionary definition. Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, you can guess what it means and also may be familiar. I was interested. The term was introduced as an analytic concept by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, 1911. So it's been around.
Love it.
Been around for a little while.
John,
Yes.
tell me about this movie.
The Craft, legacy. So it's unclear. I mean, I think when we first heard of this movie, the rumor was that it was a straight remake. That's sort of the case. I mean, it's a reboot is probably like the fairest way to describe it. So this is, as I think, Eric, you mentioned, written and directed by Zoe Lister-Jones, primarily a comic actress, writer, performer.
Mhm.
And I don't, there's some comedy here. I would say there's like maybe more even than the original, but not a ton. I don't know.
Kind of.
I mean,
Sure.
you're looking at the camera in a weird way. So
I thought it was hilarious when that one person turned into David Duchovny. That was the funniest thing I've seen all year.
You mean you just put on a David Duchovny mask?
Why won't
only other-
you
Which is
love
weird
me?
because David Duchovny himself in this movie looks like he's wearing a mask of his own face.
Yeah. The only other thing I was going to add, this is a Blumhouse joint, so this is unclear. Like, I mean, they're the big name on the poster, but where exactly they came in the process here. Yeah, I mean, so it's essentially a modernization of The Craft, which we covered. I don't know, what was that, like 3 months ago?
I feel like it was.
Yeah, it wasn't very long
I'm
ago.
I'm always hesitant to talk about time frames, John, but yes, it was recently.
Well, it
It
was
was a
Joe's
staff pick like
pick,
over
I
the
believe?
summer,
No,
I
it was
think.
mine.
Cece's.
Cece's staff
Got to
pick.
see
okay.
John. You know what you just did, John? That was very androcentric of you.
It's
No.
true.
Hold on.
What is this? The fucking Joe Rogan podcast?
Yeah. You gonna start telling about ayahuasca and shit?
Yeah.
We can I think we can all agree that Joe holds the craft in a special place.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will say that my staff pick was influenced by Joe's love of the craft. So,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
I will
that's
share
fair.
I will share that staff pick with you.
There you go. But I mean, otherwise, this is very, I don't want to say faithful, but it's pretty close. At least in the
Well,
in the general structure, you have
yeah.
the four girls. One of the girls, Lily, in this case.
Yeah, it's
is
actually
coming
very
from-
different from the first movie, John. I'm not sure we saw the same movie.
So, well,
Like there were four
the-
girls and they're witches.
yeah, but like the main, I guess like the main antagonist is different, but otherwise, like it's a story about like three witches who need a fourth witch, and then there's a fourth
Okay.
witch. I don't know what
Alright.
you want from me. Like,
That's valid. That's...
You just
one
described
of them
the,
is
you
more
described
powerful,
the first
presumably,
act.
than the others.
Just keep
That's
just
sort
keep
of
going.
thing.
Just keep going, John.
All right. In any event, Lily is the witch who's coming from out of town. Do they even say where this is taking place?
I think so, but I do not remember.
Which
I don't.
which
I would say no, but that's also not, I don't know.
Well, if they did, it was very passing. I mean, I feel like the first one is like very specific in its sort of place and
Yeah.
time. This is a little more ambiguous. You have three other witches, Lords, Frankie, and Tabby. And so Lily is coming from out of town. The other three witches are very excited when they discover, basically on her first day at their new school, that she's their fourth. She's the West, I believe. So Lily's mom has Michelle Monaghan, who's, I mean, somewhat recognizable, familiar.
Yeah.
Is moving them to this new town so that she can start a relationship that I guess was a long distance. We'll get into this relationship because it's interesting.
Fucking bizarre.
Well, with David Duchovny, who I was excited to see. It was not, to Eric's point earlier, not clear immediately that it was him. It kind of was like, is that a guy who looks like David Duchovny?
I mean, after this movie, it's also not clear to me that he's an actor, but we can talk about that.
No,
as well.
come on. Well,
Oh,
that's called. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much we really want to get into. We can kind of work our way into the plot. You know, this is definitely sort of like fish out of water. I don't know. She's the new girl in a new school, and also she's a witch. They
She doesn't know she's a witch.
no, but what was interesting? Well, she has the necklace, so it's like, you know, we knew she was a witch before she knew she was a witch.
oh yeah. I saw the
Eric-
trailer, John.
Well, and Eric also mentioned in his email that it was very exposition heavy. I actually felt like they really raced through the like figuring out their witchiness stuff, like way more than in the first film.
Well, I'd
It's just
agree,
that
like,
it's more
a
verbal.
third of the original is like them kind of figuring out how to do witch stuff.
And
Yeah.
that stuff is done in legit 2 minutes.
Right.
A
But my
montage,
point
really.
is like it's done through dialogue, whereas there's a series of scenes in the first film where you see them doing things like that. I think that this movie must have had a low budget. It feels like it did because there's so much stuff that just is done through dialogue, and even the finale is not very big. You know what I mean?
No, that's fair. Let's not skip to the end, but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, there is a pretty big reveal about halfway into the movie. It's definitely telegraphed. I mean, if you're paying attention and have a functioning brain, you kind of know what's going on pretty early. But let's save it. We'll get there.
Okay, Cece,
Yes.
please tell me what you thought of the Craft Legacy.
I don't know that I saw a trailer for this, but I was excited knowing Zoe Lister-Jones wrote and directed it because I do like her. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate that it's more of a reboot rather than a straight remake. That gives it an up already in my mind. Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I feel biased because, you know, I mean, I feel like the original was made for my generation and it was so influential to so many women in my generation. So anything that kind of reiterates that for a new one, I'm all here for. Parts of it were a little hokey, but I mean, the original is also relatively hokey as well. I think that we're expecting a lot more just because it's a Blumhouse film, I guess. But I'm with you. Like, I don't know when they really kind of came into the whole making of it. But overall, I thought that the plot and how they decided to handle it was really, I don't know, really pertinent and timely. Like, I appreciate that there's a lot of emphasis on relationships, especially like the friend group and the mother and daughter, rather than the original kind of pits the girls against each other, which is very tired and old. So, I feel like this one is obviously a lot more focused on Gen X and kind of exploring just like tolerance in general. I will say that I was happy to see David Duchovny until I realized it was David Duchovny and his weird face, because that was more unsettling than the role he plays, which is also very creepy and was hard to watch really at times. But I don't know. I mean, the exposition didn't really bother me either. Like, I feel like in trying to not follow the original too much, there really wasn't another way for them to, approach these girls, with the three girls already being witches and then a fourth one kind of like coming into her own in a new school and kind of figuring out, where she comes from and where she belongs. Like, I thought that was, I don't know, I thought it was handled well. So overall, I liked it.
Joe.
Yeah, I'm pretty in line with Cece. I mean, right off the bat, you can tell this movie is not directed at myself or honestly like anyone on this podcast, right? Like, I, like Cece, was a huge fan of the original, but probably for different reasons. Although, I don't want to.
I mean, look,
We've been over it.
Veruza Balk was also a sexual awakening for me. I'm not gonna lie. Don't know that I had the same one you did, but
yeah, well, it was more of a, I would use awakening. Like, I don't know what the word I would use, but
we don't want to know what the word you
use. I don't want to think of what word describes that.
Just,
my lord!
Like a hot cup of coffee thrown in your face. But and the further I get away from this, I actually enjoy it more. It's goofy, it's cheesy, but I mean, the original was also, like Cece mentioned, I appreciate that they didn't just kind of copy the formula of the original one, like down to the fact that they didn't even, the four women in this one do not have the same sort of characteristics as the ones in the original, which I really appreciated. Like, you kind of expect, like, oh, there's going to be the super mean one, there's going to be the super shy one, and it's like, no, they're just kind of like four normal teenagers, right? Like, at least what I assume normal teenagers are. So I really appreciated that. It drags a little in the second act and kind of takes a while, and then does get a little goofy when, there's more Duchovny. But, I was kind of along for the ride, and watching it last night as a distraction to everything else going on, I think was pretty much perfect for me. And then we'll talk about the ending, but like, chef's kiss, like, you couldn't have made it any better for me. So overall, I was thumbs up.
God. I just want to say, you're totally right. I agree with you. I really liked that the four main characters did not have the same characteristics.
Yeah.
Like, that there was no like
mean one, right? Like,
right,
there was no,
or like yeah. And all of those actresses are awesome, but I love Frankie so much. She and the role she plays in Cockblockers is hilarious.
Yeah.
Which actress is this?
Her from.
Gideon Adlon.
Yeah.
Adlon?
Okay.
Is she related
which character
to
in the
what's her
movie
name?
is this?
Adlon? Pamela Adlon.
Oh, ooh, I don't know.
Like her daughter?
I don't know, John. You want to check out Ancestry.com? Which character in the movie is this?
Frankie. She plays Frankie.
Which? Oh my
She's
God!
like
for the love of God!
one.
Thank you. Good Lord.
Yeah.
John.
She is the daughter of Pamela Adlon.
John,
so
what do you think of this?
For the
Oh,
record.
thank God. Let me hold on. I got my notebook. Let me write that down.
Who the
Christ.
fuck is Pamela Adlon?
You would recognize her. She's
I'm
like
sure I
a
will.
fairly famous.
I got it right here. I'm gonna make sure I
Um,
note that for you, John.
Oh, and Zoe Lister-Jones, like I love her. Like all kidding aside, like I think she's hilarious. Like I loved her on Life in Pieces and like the few movies I've seen that she's done. She also, and I think she did on this one too. Like she like specifically hires like all female crews,
Yeah.
and like really tries to stick to that. So I appreciate that.
She's very
you know,
funny.
she's out there
on New Girl. as well.
supporting my daughters.
John,
Hashtag.
John, what do you think of this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we covered when we did the craft earlier this year, I believe that was the first time I saw it. Certainly the first time I saw it sort of end to end in one sitting. So I don't have like a strong connection to the film in the way that Joe does or Cece does. This wasn't, there was no sort of like, oh, they're interfering with my childhood. I would say the first like 15, 20 minutes of this movie, the point that Joe made where it's like, this is not for me. I think I might have texted you guys to just be like, this is going to be an interesting experience, because there's actually like a 5 or 10 minute sequence when they're first kind of going into the motions of getting to know each other, where I swear to God, it was just like kid jargon. And
Yeah.
Fucking
Some
like
of it-
Juno, right?
Do you
Like,
know? Listen
Yeah.
though. Do you know what a big
Yes.
thing is? And this kind of hit me as I was watching this, and I felt this with a lot of these similar movies lately. One of the biggest things that makes these modern things feel different is they actually cast age appropriately now.
Yeah.
Like
That's
all
true.
those '90s kids movies, the actresses were in their 20s, and it just made it a little easier to stick with it as you got older. Whereas now you're like I'm watching literal children saying things I do not understand.
Totally. Like I was actually thinking, I mean, I don't want to, hopefully this is not going to sound inappropriate, but like Joe was like talking about how much,
Hope it is.
his like feelings for people in the like original Kraft film, which like when we were kids, like was not a big deal. Like I felt the way you're describing it.
Yeah.
Like these feel closer to my kids
Yeah,
than they do to
we
me.
got a Twitter question
Yeah.
later that we're not going to answer.
Very good, very good. No, that said, like, so I didn't really know a ton about Zoe Lister-Jones. Like, I recognize her face, but like, I've not seen any of these shows she's on. I haven't seen the previous movies she'd done. The movie is, I think, very sort of like effectively put together, in that it's like not for me, but I still found it like very watchable. To me, this could either be read as a criticism or as like a, I don't know, a compliment, I guess. This is sort of like a very polished, like soapy teen drama, like supernatural teen drama. I don't even know what like reference is for one of those because I don't watch any of those shows. But
But I mean, you could argue that the original was too, right? Like,
sure, totally. But it was a different era, right? Like there weren't that many things like The Craft back in the
Sure.
like early 90s. There's a lot of stuff like this now, to the point where like I'm almost surprised they didn't try to turn this into a TV show where this was the kind of like tee up to, like I
Yeah.
could have seen it going in that direction.
which sorry, I don't mean to cut you out. Like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
fully agree with, right? Because didn't The Craft come out in sort of like the height of like Dawson's Creek and like 90210
No,
and like,
The Craft was 95.
or was it
before
was it
all
earlier
that.
than that?
Yeah, it was before
Yeah.
all that. It was 95.
I think it was I think it was on the front end, and I guess sorry, what I meant, Joe, is like it was more effects heavy. Like you didn't have like crazy effects like that on TV. Now
Yeah,
that shit
yeah,
is
it's
like
valid.
very, effects are
Yeah.
like super cheap now. So they put so yeah, like all in all, like I thought this was well done. The thing that Cece and Joe, I think you both mentioned, but like I liked that the tension in the film or the drama in the film does not come from. There is some drama about like will the girls kind of like hang together or fall apart. There's a moment where, and to me, the moment where they kind of like turn on each other. I mean, it's really they turn on the main girl a little bit. That was like I was kind of like, what the fuck? Like this is like not like should not have been turning on her over this. But that's not the core drama of the film, and I did like that they made that change. And then Cece, as you said, where they went with it feels I don't know, it felt like appropriate to the time and place
Yeah.
that we're living in. And I think like it's maybe a little on the nose at times, but I still thought it was like well executed. So
Yeah.
When we do movies like this a lot, I feel like Joe is the person who most often says like, this is not made for me. That's fine. I feel like I get that, but all the time I'll try to like get through that and kind of engage as much as I can. But I will say I'm totally with you, Joe. Like, this is the most out of touch I think I've ever felt since doing this show. Not even out of touch, just like, I don't know. It's just, I get it. It wasn't made for me. But like, there's just so many interesting things about this movie to me. For one, if you're comparing to the original, like the original Craft is a horror movie, and this is barely a horror movie. Like, I would call this almost like Twilight-esque in its like aim. Like it is so, it's a tween movie. Really, it doesn't even feel like a teenager movie. It feels like a tween movie for like kids who want to be teenagers and just are like, oh, cool, teenager, you know, like, and that's fine. Like that's a demo that exists, and those you know, kids deserve to have movies made for them too. What's interesting?
It's very like pre-young adult. Like it's like that transition into like, you can't watch this, but I'd let you watch this before, you know.
Yeah, and so the comparison I could not get away from was the Black Christmas remake, because they were both low budget Blumhouse projects where they were. Cece, just let me finish my thought, please. I'm getting the most sass face ever right now. You just you did a whole hand thing, okay? You're psychically interrupting me. No, like they were okay. So like there was
giving you the Eric.
There was this big thing a couple years ago, right, where like there was criticism of Blumhouse for not hiring women filmmakers, and they immediately fired off, like got a bunch of projects fired up, right? And I assume this was kind of around the same time that Black Christmas was in like pre-production. They're both like helmed by younger women directors who don't have a ton of experience. They're both very low budget. Like honestly, that's kind of the part that bothers me, because like I think that they just fired off a bunch of projects so they could just get people off their backs. And they were like, here you go. Here's like $1 million. Go make a movie, which is great. But like, I wish a movie like this could have gotten more resources, because it felt really, to me, held back. Every time there needed to be an effect or like a large set piece, I feel like you could feel the scale of it was held back. So like, I really don't think it's directed that well, but I cannot say if that's just because they had limited resources. Like, I really don't know that. What I think the strongest part of it, I also think it is like, it deals with the political stuff very similarly to the Black Christmas remake, although in that it is just like very upfront, very spoken aloud. Although I will say, I think this movie does it way more eloquently, and I think it's a lot more woven like into the actual story than in Black Christmas. But to me, the strongest part of this is it's the relationships. Like, I think the strongest part of the movie to me is the relationship between Michelle Monaghan, is that her name?
Yeah.
And the daughter. Like, the first act stuff with them is like very sweet, and it actually, I think, builds up some goodwill with those characters that they kind of like, they try to traffic in later on. I think the first act is the strongest. Like, the setup is there. The second act gets a little wonky, and the third act goes like batshit crazy. It's like somebody just banged a line of coke and then wrote the third act of the script. It's great. Like, and there's a scene that is like one of the most unintentionally funny things I've seen in a very long time. There's some really hilarious.
Which one?
There's some really the face.
What you think that
I
is.
laughed out loud at the face morph and just threw my hands up and was like, okay, I
Oh.
don't.
Yeah. I mean,
There's also, to me, one of the funniest lines I've ever heard in any movie, which is, guys, I think it's time we take a break from magic. ... I don't know why that made me laugh too. So
But
I don't know.
that
I think it like
that
I think
was the shit that I was like saying felt kind of like teen drama-y. Like I
yes,
actually think
it is
that
very teen
plays
drama. That's what I
in-
mean. Like,
Yeah.
and I think for its audience,
Here.
that's probably the strongest stuff, right? Like, I like the friend group dynamic. I really like the lead actress. I really like the mother-daughter relationship. I think it's barely a horror movie, which is kind of where it kind of fails for me. And I think when it tries to be, it just does not stick the landing. Like, the effect stuff at the end is very bad. David Duchovny, like, I get it, man. He was on X-Files. He was on that Californication show. Like, he's not good here. And it's the material isn't great either. So like, and actually, like, even the plot of this is very, I will finish after this, but Black Christmas is also about like a secret fraternity of like magic dudes who are trying to like take over and like get rid of women, basically. So like, or like
I haven't
subjugate
seen Black
women.
Apparently, I
No,
didn't see
me
it.
either.
So I-
It's
like,
on HBO.
As I was watching
Max
this
right
third
now,
act,
too.
I was just like, wow, that's pretty wild. Anyway, so I don't know. I think there's definitely an audience for this. I think it's there are interesting things about it, but as a horror film, it's not there for me.
I would be willing to bet that at some point you and Mark have had a conversation about taking a break from magic. Like, The Gathering.
Mark, I think it's time we take a break. from
God.
Magic.
I mean, I agree. I think that I really wish there had been more, we'll say, resources for the third act, because it did feel like, I don't know, like it didn't even feel like an ending,
Yeah.
really, or like a conclusion to anything. I was just like, what is?
I
this
mean,
is a little.
because
I
the
almost
thing that
wonder
the
if this was
he was moving his hand and like making the girls fly all over the place.
because this wasn't announced too long ago. Like
Yeah.
I want to say less than a year ago. Like I almost wonder if with COVID hitting and everything, like they rushed to wrap this up so they could get it out.
All right, so this is what
well,
I was
and
gonna
that's
say, 'cause
exactly what
Eric's-
Black Christmas felt like too. And like the thing with this is, does this even go to a theater if theaters are open right now? Because it felt barely that quality
Yeah.
to me.
I think it would have. I mean, maybe to Joe's point, like who the fuck knows what happened with production? Look, they shot a bunch of these scenes in a high school with tons of kids. Like, that's where like
It had to have been
I
shot,
think,
yeah, before then.
well, I think you're not wrong that there's like some weird resourcing stuff going on, in terms of like budget potentially, but like it wasn't like they were skimping on that. You know, like they
Yeah.
basically those weren't you. There's ways you could have made this movie with way less extras and like speaking
Yeah, yeah,
kid
yeah.
actors
Right.
that. But totally, the third act feels cheap. Like and
Yeah.
the climax and like who the hell knows? Like, I mean, again, like we're kind of just speculating about what might have happened in production, but I don't know. Like, it's it. I agree with you that the third act is the weakest. I think to me, we haven't really talked about the Duchovny thing. So like, basically, this is the spoiler alert part of the podcast. It's revealed that. So we learn pretty quickly that he is sort of like he's a therapist. The mom is also a therapist, Lily's mom.
Did not
and
even,
that
did not
is-
even pick that up.
Well, she mentions it at some point. That's like presumably how they met.
Right,
They've
right.
been having this long distance relationship. She moves her daughter in with him and his three like high school age sons,
Mhm.
and the sons are all like a little weird, not like weird like
Dude,
rapey or anything, but
I
just
get
like
that they're supposed to look alike. I get
I
that,
think they could have gotten there, John.
I
well,
get,
I mean maybe, but it's not shown.
Joe.
Like, there's
Right.
no.
Joe, that glass of wine, holy shit,
It's
dude.
amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That beats
No, but
anything I've
that's-
ever seen Schnars drink. That's incredible.
She's in like the library and she picks up, I can't even remember what the name of the book was, but it's basically like he's a therapist, but his work is around
Hollow masculinity.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of these tiny dick men's rights activist kind of things.
It's
Correct.
Tom
Yeah.
Cruise in Magnolia, but like less extreme.
But I just want to know, like, how he, like, Michelle Monaghan's character is so progressive and like supportive, and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
I
how
don't-
did they like?
yeah, I needed some backstory
that was
there.
Like,
that
there
was a plot
How did
hole
she
that
not
bothered me.
really know what his deal was?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he's written
exactly.
books.
Presumably he's like famous for doing
He's
this,
written
right? Like,
books. We see
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
at some point. Yeah.
No, and she at one point she says something like she says something to the effect of, "I know this is all happening so fast. Like, thanks for supporting me. It's just so nice to be loved again," or something like that. And you're like, you feel like that. That was a weird
I
thing.
get it.
Oh yeah, I mean I get it, but it's just like
It's the fact that we are
seemed very
supposed.
out of
It's the
character.
fact that we're supposed to believe that she either doesn't know or doesn't care when they're explicitly telling us like what her character is like, and it doesn't.
right.
It doesn't match.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
it's
say
weird.
Like, I know they're supposed to be brothers, but they could not have cast three more generic-looking white teenage dudes, and I could not tell any of them apart. And
well,
I know,
that littlest kid was very weird.
Well,
Well, he was
other
just
than that
kind
kid,
of there.
but like the
Yeah.
two brothers and the friends and stuff that all hung out, like knowing who they were was very pivotal to several scenes, and I had no idea who they were
Oh,
in
yeah.
any given scene.
Especially when they were in school. Like I
Yeah.
kept asking Leslie, like, is that the brother? Like, is
Well, they
she
were
I
now like?
keep
Joe-
getting them confused.
Joe, we all
Yeah.
look the same.
They were very like generic lax bro looking.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah, like your
Yeah.
hair, kind of.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell them apart because it's
They're your
my
people.
but
Yeah,
You can spot
Uh-huh.
your own. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, so basically, he's this like men's rights activist, whatever, or therapist, and but what is actually revealed is he has seduced Lily's mom to bring Lily here, because he's a warlock and like a powerful warlock.
As
I
you
guess.
do.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Head warlock.
So this role in Black Christmas is played by Carrie Elwes, another dude
Alright.
who kind of looks like he's wearing a skin
Stop-
mask of himself.
Stop spoiling Black Christmas
Yeah,
for Joe and I
seriously.
because
It's
we haven't
okay.
seen
It's
it.
alright.
I am actually, you're blowing my mind because I've seen the original Black Christmas and the remake of the original,
Oh.
and then this new one I have not seen.
You
And
have no
so-
idea.
Yeah. Well, Leslie and I literally were talking about watching it this Friday because it's on HBO Max now.
Yeah. And you're into Christmas movies at this point.
Oh yeah.
You're just deep in.
But so David Duchovny, then the sort of third act is about him trying to steal the powers of Lily, which I don't know. To me, at least, that was again in a like teen drama, teen fantasy, sort of vaguely horror drama. Like it was just like a whatever plot line. Like okay, cool. Like that's why like to me this felt like the pilot or the first episode to like kick off a potential show. But
I don't want to wait for.
it did feel the
misogyny to
climax
be
felt
over.
very thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, you're really. I mean, you expect a good climax, right? At the end.
Mm.
Well, we
You're-
all do.
you were
but,
disappointed?
As
To be
women, we're
fair.
often disappointed.
John just needs a rapturous climax.
I mean, to be fair, I got mine in the last 15 seconds, so I left.
I mean, that's a really funny part, like, right? So, spoiler alert, there's in the last, I mean, it's like the last 8 seconds, the main character who at some point, during this part of the movie where it's just straight up plot-wise spinning off the rails, she finds
there's like exposition every second.
she finds
There's
out that
more
she's
exposition.
like adopted and that it's because she was witchy and the mom like made Michelle Monaghan agree not to tell her or whatever. Then why would you keep the paper so
She had the necklace on.
accessible?
Yeah,
I don't know.
there was a lot of.
So
I
she
mean,
goes
again,
to
a lot
the
of plot holes.
she goes to the crazy palace and they take her in a room to visit the woman who reveals herself to be Fairuza Balk, which gave me a lot of questions, John. Like who impregnated her?
Yeah, I mean, in the original, doesn't she gets Skeet Ulrich to have sex with her because she's
Yeah.
pretending
Don't they
to
get
be,
interrupted?
What's that?
Don't they
They
get
do.
interrupted?
So I don't know if you
Yeah.
know they finished the deal. But
I
who
thought
knows?
she
I
was.
mean,
I thought
they
he was
kinda
just
set
like
this up
dry.
that he's
I
got-
thought he was just like dry humping her, and then they come in the room and interrupt like her spell.
Yeah.
Wait, when you say come in the room, what do you mean?
I'm just saying. I remember a good
Jesus
dry hump
Christ.
scene when I see it. You know.
Oh.
It is funny we're talking about these things as spoilers. So on the IMDb page, this is listed as it's described as a sequel to the 1996 film, and then Fairuza Balk is in the IMDb credits as Nancy Downs. Like, it's,
Yeah.
they
Well,
didn't-
but what's?
they're
I
not
mean, here's
hiding
what's
it.
interesting.
because the trailer showed them alluding to her and like looking
Yeah.
at pictures of her, but then we never actually see that in the movie.
It's a really
so,
interesting thing when you sequelize something like this. You didn't remake it, you sequeled it, right? So like,
Yeah.
But nothing else in the movie really hinges on knowing anything about the old movie, right? So you're gonna be a tween watching this movie, and be like, who the fuck is that? Like, I don't. who
Well,
is that?
yeah, but you can enjoy the entire movie right up until that last scene, and then you're like, oh, I guess that's her mom.
Yeah.
You know, like
I've
who the
got to
fuck
imagine
knows?
there's deleted scenes that like
Yeah.
reference the original more because they do. I mean, as soon as the main character finds out she's adopted and the mother starts talking about how she met the mother in an like an institution, you're like, all right, I see where this is going.
Well, so Joe, that's the production thing that I was going to hit on. Is like this did feel if I had any problems with this, it was probably the editing. You know,
Yeah.
and again, whether you put that, I think this is what we always get into this conversation of like, was it directing? Was it the writing? To me, this did feel like something where there was like a lot of cutting going on, and there was a lot of other content. Like they wanted to get this down to a trim number, which I appreciate, but it felt like there was probably more to this movie that got left out.
You
There
know
was
what-
a lot rushed. I mean, to your point,
Yeah.
right? Like the beginning when they kind of get together, they pretty much look at the craft book, and the next thing you know, they're like prancing through the school doing magic
Yes.
on everyone.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
all
straight up,
right.
the girl's just like shooting fire out of her fingers. It was like, when did you learn to do
Yes.
that? I don't. Are you
No,
like?
they become like super
Are
powerful.
you in
very
the
quickly.
Fantastic Four? Like what? What's
But then they do. It's funny because they're doing this like pretty extreme shit, and then they show the scene where they like are making one of them levitate, and it's like, why are you wasting your time with this
Yeah.
low level nonsense?
Here's
Yeah,
one thing.
me
Here's
too.
one thing this movie did that I kind of like appreciate on some level more than the original. So in the original, they cast the love spell on Skeet Ulrich,
Mhm.
and he straight up acts after that like someone gave him a lobotomy. or like
Mhm.
somebody gave him a drink of like some dum dum juice or something like that. He just like literally like he's kind of slow after, like that's his acting style of being like, I'm under a love spell. The dude in this movie is kind of committing to it. Like he completely changes his character, the way he talks, the way he moves. Like he does a really good job of just acting like he's kind of changed. And because at
Well-
first it's
Well,
just
'cause
that he's
first-
woke.
Yeah, at first it wasn't initially a love
But
spell.
that's kind of the like, you know, the analogy to the first film, I guess.
right. I mean, well, but then you do get Lily putting a love spell on him later on. So
It was just funny
you know, I think
it was funny watching this kid actually act and being like, "Oh, Skeet Ulrich was bad.
it's
That was
Ulrich
bad acting."
bad.
Yeah.
We've all
Was
had
Skeet,
that.
was Skeet Ulrich ever good? Like,
Yeah.
what-
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's bad
John,
at
what I'm
screaming. I
saying
love
is it's
Scream.
making it's
Should be
making
having this
me
realization 30 years later.
it's making
Yeah.
me question everything I know, John.
His
Oh,
name's
my lord.
Skeet.
If Skeet isn't good, what is?
No, I actually, so I had mixed feelings. So this is Timmy. First of all,
Who is who?
you're a full-grown adult man. Like, you don't go by Timmy anymore.
That's what
Like, and-
the old timers in my town call my dad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. All right, that's got like whatever.
Some of them
I
still
went back
still
and
call him Big Timmy.
I thought so. I thought the actor was good. I liked the way that they handled it. It was a little all over the place. Like, it was just kind of like I didn't know exactly what the spell was that they cast and where they went with it. Like, what it allowed them to do and comment on, sort of from a more like societal standpoint, like not within the context of the film. I thought was like interesting. But it was like I liked there was a sequence where they like show him basically becoming like the fifth member of the
Yeah.
gang. And he's
Yeah.
like walking through school and all the other kids are just like, what the fuck is going on? That I like enjoyed that. Like, that to me
Yeah.
was like a nice
No, and there's
moment.
actually there are some funny lines around that too.
Yeah. And again, I thought that actor was solid, but it's sort of it was a little all over the place. And I mentioned it before, but the whole turn where the rest of the girls turn on Lily because of the thing that happens with him,
Yeah.
that felt really thin to me. Like, it was just
Yeah.
like,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
like what the
It's
fuck?
that I didn't understand just because she did it alone. Like, that was another little bit of a
Right. In the
of a plot hole
original
that I was like,
We
what
gotta
is
stop
this?
doing magic.
Right. In the original there's a lot crazier shit that goes down.
Yes. Well, Fairuza Balk's like floating over the ocean, like shooting lightning out of her hand.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
They're like,
I mean,
maybe this is
I
not too
just,
far."
like, you know, it's a horror podcast. I just wanted to watch a horror movie. And like the craft is full of like teenage relationships and drama and all that stuff, but it's also like they interject scary moments through the whole thing. And a lot of it is just the menace that Fairuza Balk brings to it. Like, she's just
Yeah.
got so much presence and
and
but
that final
you know,
sequence is a true like horror
I
climax.
get it too. Like, I
for-
do kind of like the choice of not having them turn against each other, although even though they kind of do that. But then they even kind of Duchovny calls it out later when he makes some comment about her friends turning on her or something, some like douchey MRA comment. But by making that choice, you then take that kind of threat out. Although I mean, I don't think any of the actresses in this movie were like Fairuza Balk level of terrifying. So
I mean,
it also
That's
made me
tough
think
to-
like
that's tough to
this
beat.
was another generational thing, Joe, because in some level in the 90s it was like we knew what goth chicks were, right? Like, these girls all looked super normal to me in a way that I just like I just don't know. It's like a 21 Jump Street when they go back to school and they're like they don't know who the cool kids are anymore because like
Right.
the cool kids are into environmentalism and shit. That's how I felt watching this movie. Like, I didn't know who any of these people were supposed to be.
But I appreciate that they didn't have a
It's
like
not-
blatant
yeah.
like, oh, you're the outsiders. Like,
Yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I don't think they were like the quote unquote cool.
Right. They
like,
weren't cool kids, but
I guess
Yeah,
I
but
just
they
need
weren't-
I just feel like
yeah.
I need a goth status update in 2020. Like, what's the state of goth right now?
is there a lot of goth?
That
in
was
high
the
school?
question I was actually very curious to ask as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Cece.
I'm sure that it's still there, but yeah, I don't know that it's the
Does
same
any-
that it was in the 90s.
Does anyone have like a niece or nephew we can text?
Like
or-
the witches are also like more like fashion.
Yeah.
comments.
It's all
Yeah.
it's all like TikTok and like influencer type stuff. Like the new age like spiritualism that you see on Instagram seems to be like
I never
That's
thought
what you would-
about witches on TikTok, but now that I said that out loud, I'm sure I'm gonna start seeing it.
Yeah.
They're
Wick
listening.
talk. They call
They're-
it,
I mean,
I believe.
yeah.
They're,
Well,
Thanks, Joe.
they're always
Shut him
listening.
down. Can you mute his mic?
I said wick talk.
Whoa, that's pretty good, Joe.
Thanks.
I'm gonna give you that one.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right, guys.
Did you hear
Anything
that, John?
else?
Wick talk.
Anything else you guys want?
Do we? I mean, do we want to spend any time? Like, so what has David Duchovny been doing for the last like 10 years?
Not wearing proper sun protection on his face for
Yeah.
starters.
having some work done, but on the slide.
Not,
Apparently, yeah.
not moisturizing.
Apparently,
I mean,
like,
look, I'm
sitting
all
on
for
his
it. If you're gonna
deck
get
without-
work done, get work done, but just pay for good work. Like, don't skimp on your face. Like that's the most important thing.
So he's okay. So he's 60 years old this year. I was
Wow.
trying to think. Like, I guess that's.
I mean, that's
Would
pretty
you have
old.
guessed he's that old? Like, I guess he looked 60. He looked timeless. I guess is what I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. have
Not in a
guessed
good
it.
way, but
He's just jowly,
Well, it just looks like someone. It looks
crevicey.
like when Axl Rose put tape on his face to like pull his face back. It's just like, dude, it's okay.
I mean, they relaunched the X Files, right? Like he's been doing stuff.
it looked like a 60-year-old trying to play a 45-year-old.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yes.
what it looked like. Now that I think.
Play
Yeah.
a 60-year-old.
Well, it's like Kevin Bacon in that movie where they steal the rocks, and he had his hair dyed jet black.
Mm.
Oh,
Whatever the fuck that
You
is.
should
Darkness
leave.
or something?
Oh, the
The
darkness.
darkness.
I thought you
yeah.
meant the movie we just watched. That was
Yeah.
terrible with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was bad.
that
Alright.
he actually looked slightly age appropriate. Kevin.
That's true.
All right, guys. What do you think? Should people watch this, John?
I'm gonna say only for the new generation of witches. Like if you're over the age of 20,
If so,
No.
anyone listening to the show, CC,
yeah. No, like if you're a teen Bloody Good Horror fan, you should check this out.
Yeah.
CC.
Yeah, I feel about this how I felt about the witches. Like, if you're looking for nostalgia, don't watch it. But if you're like just out to appreciate the new generation, then sure.
Joe.
I'll just go a blanket yes. I think it's worth it.
Wow,
There you go.
wild.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no because even if I like, no teen is gonna listen to me anyway. So for like the people who would actually listen to me, it's a hard no from Eric,
Mhm.
from the Eric camp. All right, guys, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
You know, a lot of people write me and say, hey, Joe Bob Briggs, just what is monster vision? You don't need no special glasses or an insect's head, just a healthy love for slime and disrespect for the dead. We'll talk about some movies by the old double wide, and when you get that creepy feeling creeping up inside, well then you got monster vision, it's a heck of a fright. We're tearing the heart out of Saturday night. These Monster Vision movies serve a primitive drive, 'cause watching people die can make you feel so alive. So throw away your clicker now, the flicks have begun, 'cause there's nothing you can do while fully dressed that's as fun as watching TNT beneath the bug zapper light. We're tearing the heart out of Saturday night. Tearing the heart out of Saturday night. Hey, I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and you're listening to the Bloody Good Horror Podcast.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. CC, that was inappropriate. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. No emails this week, but big shout out, your girl Jamie from Slack won second place in Fangoria's Halloween costume contest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
She was dressed as Samara Weaving from Ready or Not in an amazingly accurate depiction. Wedding dress, covered in blood, the shoes, the whole thing. So congratulations to Jamie.
She didn't win anything in our costume contest, so I don't want to.
No,
like,
in fact,
that maybe our judges aren't as skilled.
In
as
fact, she
Victoria's,
lost to
but-
a dude in the same costume. So you want to talk about androcentrism, Joe?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no!
John was
it's
drunk.
about
John was
time
drunk,
that,
so he doesn't remember
a
this
gentleman
happening.
finally got got to take the front.
John, do you really not remember that happening, buddy?
No, I 100% remember that happening.
Oh, okay.
I was sort of laughing because it was Michael, right, who
Yeah,
wore
yeah.
the he was just straight up in the same outfit, but like
Yeah.
so because I think he had a beard, right?
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, it was just I thought it was pretty amusing. It was like they both showed up in the same outfit. One
Yeah.
of them was a guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I stand with you, Jamie. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Jamie was very gracious about it on the Bloody Good Heart.
Well, she looked awesome, and I'm glad that she won.
No, obviously, yes.
Well, shout out to the slackers. There was a lot of people coming
Does
in looking for distractions.
Does anyone
today,
know
so-
where Matt Root placed in the Fangoria contest? Was that? Was it
Well,
sort
I
of-
assume number one. Jamie took two.
Yeah,
Matt
yeah,
took one.
Right.
I was gonna say negative, like negative
No.
150. Or...
Number one in my heart. I'll tell you that one.
Sure.
All right, Joe. What do we got on social media?
We got a handful. So we're on Twitter at BG Horror. We use the hashtag AskBGH if you want to send in a question or just get to know us. First one comes from Rally on Films. By the way, did someone mention that there's one here we shouldn't read? Because I don't read these in advance. So
Oh no, it's fine. You can read it. I'm just not going to answer it. Yeah.
So Teddy Kruger here says, just became a new homeowner. What would be the first horror movie you watch in a new home? P.S. I live alone. Also, what's your favorite SNL musical performance? Those two go right together, right? Those two questions.
Dude, I have an
I
answer
would
for
say
it.
The Strangers.
SNL. Shit, never mind.
I would go Amityville Horror. That's
Oh,
always
Well,
like
that,
my house go-to.
I mean, that's like the start of 25% of horror movies. I feel like.
Yeah.
So you got a lot to pick from.
Or House, the movie House. We did that on
Yeah.
the show a while ago, right? Anyone have a favorite SNL musical performance?
I needed to have
SNL.
thought about this.
Yeah.
There's, I mean,
I
there's
watched-
good ones I could think of, but not off the top of my
Yeah.
head.
You know, just this made me think of this, Joe. It's not SNL, but you might remember this. When we were kids, I used to religiously watch the MTV Music Awards, like in the
Oh, yeah.
90s. And there was a year where Neil Young
With Pearl Jam.
played
performed,
"Rockin'
yeah.
in the Free World" with Pearl Jam, and I
Yeah.
watch it on YouTube like fairly often because it.
That's
fucks.
great. Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
good.
I was not a huge Neil Young fan when I was younger, but over the years I've grown to appreciate
But
him.
like, yeah,
mean-
I feel like even if you don't appreciate him, you watch that and you're like, oh shit. Especially if you're a '90s kid, I feel like
Yeah.
it's really. Good.
I mean, if I had to pick a recent one, Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched that hundreds of times, like muted sometimes, like just
Too.
on loop.
But Kyle and I both watched that and we were like, she's awesome.
It was very good, actually. Like, all kidding aside, like, she's amazing. All right. I got one guy, and I only see this because I'm on my personal account, just looking up the hashtag. He was very angry that he trolled us with a Trump 2020 tweet a while back, and I blocked him.
Nice. I like it, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe don't play.
So, well, I can tell you blocked me for just typing Trump 2020. Such a biased, intolerant podcast.
Intolerant.
I mean, does that make sense?
Did he use the hashtag, Joe?
He did. So
Ah,
you gotta,
nice,
you gotta
nice.
read.
Nah, you know what? Shout out.
Beating
Shout
at your
out.
own game,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah. Well, not really, because if he's blocked, like technically we couldn't see him, but I just happened to be on mine. But whatever. Nobody says Trump fans are the smartest. Our buddy Adam Space Lawyer, attorney at Spacer, it's truncated. What is your favorite arts and craft other than magic?
Arts and craft. Wow.
Um,
Cece, as our resident artist and witch.
yeah. I mean,
I
painting.
mean, yeah, I mean, you create like actual art, right?
I crochet a little bit.
That does sound nice.
Where do you draw the line, Cece, between an art and craft versus just like you're making art? That's like a false distinction?
Yeah, I mean, and actually, like, not to get too far into it, but like, it's really interesting that that's such a debate now, because technically crafting should still be considered art. Like the term like fine art is very like, I don't know, it's very misleading, because the majority of art is not fine art. The majority of art is based in craft. So yeah, it's pretty, you know.
I'm smart. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I do craft. I've taken to bread making. Is that a craft? Is that considered a craft?
I mean,
you have never seen you have
like you're crafting bread.
You have never seen more steam shoot out of three dudes' ears than when Cece was talking just now and sounding really smart, and I got nothing.
I drink vodka 69. Any thoughts on the Silent Night, Deadly Night series, mostly the sequels?
I have seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, which stars Andy Rooney as a crazy toy maker who makes like a toy man who like kills people. That's all I have it on VHS. I watched it one time. It's insane.
I've seen it a couple times.
Because at some point they broke off from the original series. It just started doing like, is this Christmas and horror? Then it's Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever even seen the original.
Yeah, the sequels are a lot of like full moon bullshit. Half moon. Yeah. No, wait, what's half?
It's either a half or a full
it's
moon.
Full moon, Joe.
It's full moon,
yeah. Should I watch the original? Like, is the original like should I put it on the list?
It's fun enough. It's like a cheesy 80s. You know, it's not terrible.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't.
Strong recommendation.
Yeah. All right. Horror fan 4129, which I believe is our buddy Aussie Andy, coming from Australia, says, "How do you take your coffee? As an Aussie, I just assume that all Americans only drink filtered coffee you see in movies served at a restaurant/cafe with a plate of bacon and pancakes.
Wait,
do you even know what a cappuccino is?"
What is like?
Listen up, motherfucker.
Yeah, no shit. You're in Australia. I assume your coffee's all served by like fucking vipers and shit.
Tarantulas.
Yeah.
I
drink it out of pouches.
When I did drink coffee, I always drank it black. But I mean, yeah, I guess most coffee in America is probably filtered.
So I mean, I think we've talked about this. I make my own cold brew. That's like the only thing I drink, and I'm like kind of like, there are times where I worry that I'm too addicted, because I like worry about my cold brew situation at any given time. Like, you know, before I go to bed at night, I'm like, do I have enough cold brew for the morning? Like, it's literally like a thing that I have to worry about.
I used to try to get myself more addicted, and I couldn't. Like, I used to want to drink more coffee, but I would just hit my physical limit, and my body would just shut it down.
Yeah, I'm with you, John. Like so Leslie only drinks cold brew. Like, I kind of turned her onto that. So we make it here too. But I'm like, hot coffee. Like, I just love it. Like, I wake up at like 5 a.m. and like I start like itching my neck. Like, I gotta go make it.
Now,
like,
couldn't you
just
take cold brew and heat it up, like in a pan?
I guess.
People do that. I like it cold.
When I was like going heavy, I used the French press all the time, which was great because it was just like drinking an oil slick. It was my favorite thing.
I like, it's dirt cheap, but I love Starbucks, or not Starbucks. I do like Starbucks, but the Trader Joe's, I know you're not supposed to use them, but like the Keurigs, like,
yeah, I don't like that.
Just fucking fires them out.
I don't think I've ever had a good cup of coffee from a Keurig.
No, I'm with Eric on
Kyle
that.
first got into cold brew, he was buying a lot of cold brew concentrate and didn't realize that he needed to dilute it and drinking it straight. And Kyle is already a very high energy person. And it was a very rough week for us.
I was gonna say, like, he must have been getting like headaches. Like that shit is no joke.
I've never seen him like straight up geek out, and he was like shaking, and I was like, I think you're supposed to add water to that.
Yeah. I don't love the like off the shelf cold brews. Like, I mean, there's some of them that aren't bad.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them put like sweetener in there, and there's like other things, and like I just like black nothing in there. Like tastes like hate.
Starbucks one summer they made one that you put like orange peels in, and it was really good.
It's one of my biggest things that I'm missing from the like COVID shutdown is just like when I lived in New York. I mean, there's fucking coffee stores everywhere. It's not just like a joke on sitcoms. It's actually true. And like you just get a coffee all the time. Like you just walk wherever the hell you want.
Yeah,
it was like my break in the day. Like I would walk outside.
You go down to Central Perk and get yourself some coffee.
Yep. Yeah, that's a totally normal, regular place that people go for coffee. So go enjoyed it.
I do.
I'm a power user of the Starbucks app, by the way. Like I don't know.
I love it. Yeah, I'm a
super
Gold
good.
Star member. Like, especially now because like we have one. It's like 2 minutes from our house, so like you order ahead and you can go there and just tell them, "Hey, I'm Joe," and it's like sitting there waiting. I love it. Fuck, I get real. Like I'm with you. Like I get like fucking. I start thinking about it now. I'm excited. Like I want. Yeah. Oh. All right. We got 2 more tweets and then we'll do some Instagram. Just a gigolo. Did anyone in the cast give you the Faruza Balk feels? No.
This is a question I said we weren't going to answer.
All right.
Wait, I mean, Michelle Monaghan is like totally appropriate, I think, right?
Yeah.
But Michelle Monaghan in True Detective?
Yeah.
I assume he's referencing The Witch Coven. And no, because I mean, first of all, I think they're all like 16, right?
Yeah.
So what the fuck is wrong with you, Vinny?
Starting to sound like that other weirdo that writes in every week.
Last but not least, I do. I mean, for all my complaining, I appreciate that COW Flanagan took the fucking election week off.
See, I was gonna say like there are a few things I admire more than his persistence.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great. All right. Last but not least on Twitter, iScout247. Hello, everyone. I've been listening to you guys for a while now, and I recently became a father last July. Hashtag get a daughter. Got any tips for how to raise a daughter? Thanks.
How long do you got?
I'll be real with you. I know a lot of people with sons, and I prefer my daughters because little boys are insane. I think John can attest to that. I love it, dude. Being a girl dad is the best.
Yeah,
I love it.
I was nervous because I wasn't around kids much, like of either gender, but like, and I was nervous when we found out we're having a girl. But like, dude, it's amazing.
Here's my genuine piece of advice: is like, I feel like people are so worried about like influencing their daughters with like a ton of like too much pink stuff or too much like girly stuff.
Yeah.
But I think what's more important is to just like show them everything and let them like what they like. Like I feel like that gets lost in it sometimes for people like, dude, if your daughter wants to wear like a pink tutu, like it's gonna make her happy. Let her do that shit. You know what I mean?
I wore a tutu in combat boots.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. There you go.
So, you know,
I think people over course correct sometimes.
No, we had a son first, then we've had 2 daughters, and we were totally like, we're not going to gender stereotype any of them. Like from the son, and the son was like, because when it was just him, you know, you get all the gray shit because we also didn't know what we were having before, so all the clothes were like non-gendered, yada yada. And then with the daughter, we're like, oh well, if anything, she's probably going to be like a tomboy, 100% the other direction. Like she's just like, all she wants to talk about is unicorns, wearing dresses, jewelry. It's like, we're not fighting it. We're not creating it, but we're not fighting it. It's like, don't overthink it. Like, let her do what she wants to do. Let her be who they want to be. I feel the same way. Like, raising a daughter is the same as raising any kid is like the way I would phrase it, I guess. But I don't know.
Well, that was nice. It was a nice little wrap up. All
Yeah.
right, let's hop over to Instagram. We're on there, Bloody Good Horror. Every Tuesday, we just post up, hey, we want to send in questions. This is just a few random ones that we get. Although we do get weekly from one of our listeners, just direct messages, the main, because she refuses to use the form, and I appreciate it. She says, my question, Joe, what is your, and John, you're probably going to laugh at me, but Enneagram? Enneogram?
It's
Enneagram?
It's Enneagram.
Enneagram?
Enneagram, yeah.
All right.
Enneagram.
So apparently it's some fucking quiz that tells you like who you are. I got maybe like a page into it and I'm like, I refuse. Oh, she says pronounced Enneagram. What is your Enneagram number? I'll go ahead and tell you, you're a 1. I will crack the code of how to befriend you yet. This I promise. I'm a number 7. You don't care because you hate friendship, but there you go. Which I don't know. Have any of you guys ever taken this? I started and I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah, but I can't remember what my number
I
was
have.
now.
I'm a 4.
Yeah. I don't believe any of this shit.
Joe,
like
I think
that,
Joe, I think I maybe know who sent that.
Yeah.
Eric is a 4. So I'm not familiar with this at all.
It's
but
super.
I generally enjoy personality typing. I
Dude,
think it's a fun.
It
thing.
is very, very interesting, and actually was pretty mind blowing for me. I recommend people take it.
I'm big on the
Briar
Myers-Briggs.
It's very similar.
Like, do you know the history of that? It's complete bullshit. It was made up by 2 women with like zero
Whoa,
information.
Joe,
Like,
Joe, whoa with the women thing.
Joe, they
No.
all start as like nonsense, but like as you get more information, like you can like it does become like somewhat.
No,
fucking
listen. I'm
bullshit.
not gonna even bother. I'm not even gonna bother trying to get Joe to take it. But John, if you're interested, you should. It's very interesting.
I mean, how long does it take?
I mean, it takes like maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
take very long.
Is it
It's-
free? If it's free,
Yeah, there's a free
Yes.
one. Yeah.
It's 9.5 minutes, 2 months. It's all these things are like fucking Cosmo
Joe.
quizzes that like people accept it as like
Joe, this
actual
is
thing.
Joe. This is why you're a 1. I just want you to know that.
Now
Yeah.
I'm trying to find mine.
I am number 1. All right, let's do a few questions from the Instagram. What is your? This might just be for me. Who is your favorite Hallmark? Or sorry, who is your favorite Hall star? That's a Hallmark movie star.
That's a Joe question.
That's a huge
I have
question.
no fucking.
Have you guys
Wait.
have you guys legit? And I don't mean this sarcastically. Have you guys ever watched like one of these?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched them, but
I
I mean, only like in
watched-
passing.
I think it was
Never watched.
no. I know this isn't the same thing, but I did watch the Christmas Prince. I was forced to watch that. It's
Oh
really
yeah,
bad.
it's not bad. So mine, Alicia Witt, who you guys would probably recognize if you saw her. She's so angry, but like they cast her in like the lead role of these, and it's so funny because she's got like the Christmas spirit, but she still seems really annoyed. I love it. It's very attractive. And Colin Ferguson too. He's in a bunch of these, and he just makes me happy.
Joe,
Um,
why do you like mean women?
I like the anger. I like I don't we don't need to get into this.
It translates into other things, Eric.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, but
does.
I get what you're saying, but I don't think that's Joe's deal.
I
Yeah.
think it is Joe's deal.
Mhm. It is. What's someone else asked? What's step number 1 in prepping for Christmas?
Don't.
I guess the
No,
first.
I have
CC,
started
not you.
shopping.
I just
I've
mean,
started
how do
shopping.
you prep for Christmas?
My prep is like just start stocking up on booze because there is nothing better than like Christmas morning. Just start drinking the moment you wake up. Like that. That's the holidays. All right, let's see what else. We got a few. We got a bunch of like voting related ones, which I'm not going to bother at this point. Here, what's your go-to comfort movies? This is how I'm choosing to cope with today. Sent this in on Tuesday during the election. So like comfort movies.
I mean, mine are mostly horror. Like I would say, like Blair Witch Project, Creepshow are 2 probably my biggest.
Mine, Father of the Bride 1 and 2, big comfort for me.
Um,
Three Amigos, anything Steve Martin. Usually.
Dazed and Confused. A lot of 90s stuff.
I watch Prometheus a lot, or
The Prometheus, Ridley Scott Prometheus.
CC, that is my favorite thing you have ever said.
Yeah. I was, what the fuck?
like a lot to the
I
point
think-
where Kyle's like, "Are you watching this again?"
Okay, I need to I want this also to be one of mine.
You guys can take this offline, I think. I don't know. You know what I would probably go with? I would go with Rushmore. I fucking love that
that's
movie.
a good one. Yeah, yeah.
But I
It's
also
just such like a warm bath for me.
I
Yeah.
also watch the Scream franchise a lot, though.
Yeah.
Scream, yeah, for
Good
sure.
one.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me about your favorite hot sauce or sauces.
I like
Crystals or Valentina's.
I'm
So
a Texas Pete guy. I love Texas Pete.
So I like Texas. So here's the thing. I only really feel like I know about the like mainstream, like Texas Pete, but Frank's, whatever. I would love to have more time and energy to put into exploring hot sauces, but it's just like it's one of those things where like I'm just not gonna.
this
get
is
there.
super basic,
Do you
but
ever watch? Do you ever watch Hot Ones?
Oh yeah.
No, I
It's
know you guys.
incredible.
I've seen
It's so
like,
good.
Incredible. This is kind of pretty basic, but Tabasco makes like I guess it's like a chipotle because it's like smoked. It's like
Yeah,
smoky.
yeah.
It's like darker.
pretty good.
Very good.
I do like that one a lot.
Joe-
I discovered that at Chipotle.
I went to school with a kid who's he was super weird. His whole family was weird. His parents were like teleported straight out of the Wonder Years, but like some weird bizarro version.
Let's see if
His-
Joe can guess who this is.
When
actually.
he
Probably
no,
not.
these people are too young for Joe to know. Like there was no older sibling. When he would get in trouble, him and or his sister, his father would put Tabasco sauce on his tongue.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, that's
I
better
feel
than
like
the
I've heard
soap I got in my mouth, so I would
Yeah.
take Tabasco over
Yeah,
soap.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
all
seriously.
child
I
abuse,
got a
but yeah,
fucking
sure.
belt.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah.
My grandfather did the belt thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like John. I understand what you're saying, but also, I'm the type of person like I found Texas Pete's. I like Texas Pete's. I have no reason to like bother finding something else.
Well, I use regular Tabasco sauce because it's like what's in the fucking fridge, and like I'm too lazy to basically explore what I might enjoy more than that. I guess.
All
is
right,
what I'm saying.
all right, yeah. I guess if you're just like lukewarm on it, then yeah, maybe start doing some
Yeah,
exploring.
like exactly. That's the thing. Like I'm lukewarm on
John,
it.
would
I'm
you
sure there's something I
would
like
you
better.
eat hot wings with an ascending hotness of hot sauces just so we can make fun of you and see what it looks like?
Ah, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
My tolerance for hot wings is not super high.
Yeah.
If
Like,
we
I like
added
spicy, but not,
like
hurts.
if we added
Yeah.
a new Patreon goal, would you do one of those like one chip challenges?
So I probably would. My wife makes fun of me because when we used to go out to eat for Thai food, like we like Thai food, I always order more hot than is appropriate for what I can handle.
Oh, Thai food
and
will
like
mess you up, dude, if you're not careful.
I will be eating the Thai food, sweating bullets, just
Oh,
like
God,
full
yeah.
sweating, just like slamming into my mouth. And she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing great." Just
All right, I think what we should do
Uh,
is we should pick a charity, have a goal, and if we hit it, you eat one of those chips live on stream.
what? Wait, what are the? I'm
It's
gonna
like
need to
it's like a
research
sing,
these
it's,
Yeah.
it's a single tortilla chip made with like the world's hottest peppers or some shit, and like like vacuum sealed. And you buy them and then you just open it and eat it, and then you gotta just like we get to watch you be in pain.
vomit.
Basically.
Did I ever tell you the story in college where I drank probably like 2 shots? What's it, the 3 ounces of Tabasco sauce for like
Oh,
I don't know. It was not a lot of money. It was like 10.
Not a lot of money.
I drank it. This was late. I had been drinking obviously, and
clearly.
we were at like a burrito place, and someone basically like, offered me the money. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I ended up throwing up for like an hour and a half.
Oh my
basically.
god,
Like,
that's
just-
brutal, dude.
I was like dry heaving. It was bad.
Oof.
But
All right, that took us down a road. Booze of choice for tonight, which was last night.
It would have been
I-
whiskey.
well, I was drinking beer. I probably had 5 or maybe 6, and I actually feel proud of myself that I didn't pull the ripcord and go to hard liquor, because there was a point probably around like 9:30 where I was just like, "Fuck this! Like I'm going straight to vodka." Like just,
Yeah.
but
I
I did.
I went a
I feel
different
better
I
for
went a
it.
different route and felt better than everyone else in this chat this morning.
Not me. I felt pretty good, Eric. I had like 3 Revolution Hazy Heroes and then switched to the Devil Lettuce. And
Nice. That's a good combo, Joe.
it did me fine. All right, here's another one that probably only I can answer. Erica Jane of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills fame files for divorce. How do you feel? John, has this reached your home? Has Sue started talking about this?
No, we haven't talked about it, but I'll engage you after we hop off and just, I'll get some feedback for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's so boring now. Like it doesn't even matter to me anymore, John. But I'm curious what Suzanne's thoughts are. Let's see. We're about to start the second lockdown in England on Thursday. What should I binge on Prime?
Oh, Fleabag.
Bosch or Fleabag.
I mean, I
is
assume you've seen
amazing.
Fleabag at this point, but yeah.
John, you never know. Bro, I just saw it. So.
Well, they said they're in the UK, so it's like it's a British
that's
show.
right. Good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
I jokingly recommended the Great British Baking Show.
Oh, we got a question about that too coming up too.
We did start watching the new season of that, which
We're
it really
still,
is
yeah.
It's delightful.
It makes me so happy. We're on the last season of the original hosts, and it's breaking my goddamn heart.
Enjoy it, Joe, because it's all downhill from there.
Yeah. Anything else on Prime? I think when I responded with Netflix options for her, so I feel bad now. But
yeah, I don't watch a ton of stuff on Prime, I guess.
Oh,
Did you all watch the Borat movie
too? Oh yes, good lord.
No.
The Borat movie's pretty good.
You know what though? Here's the thing,
Green
like
Pines?
I bet all of these selections we're giving this person though are probably, who knows if they're available. It's probably all different.
What's that one that's the country club in the 80s? Was that Green Pines? There's something. I feel like it didn't get a lot of love, but I really liked it. All right, good. I'm glad we could help you. Having trouble letting go of Halloween this year. Any tips on how not to be a Grinch?
I mean, listen, if people want to, I mean, what are we at now? November 4th or 5th? You want to start talking about Christmas now? Like, I don't care. But, like, the Joe with the, like, week before and the music, it's just a lot for me, personally. It kind of hurts my feelings.
That's also, the more you resist it, Eric, obviously, the more I'm going to lean into it. Like, it's,
I know. I've met you, Joe. Thanks.
You brought this on.
It's not as bad, I feel like, not being able to go into stores because I haven't like immediately started hearing and been bombarded by Christmas music.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but I'm
I
also
feel like...
probably having a baby on Christmas, so.
Oh my God, just like Jesus. I feel like this year, like, just go fucking all out. Like, what's the difference, right? Like,
yeah, that's fine.
I want to decorate the lawn this weekend. Like, who gives a shit? You need something, right? Here's one. Do you guys ever argue about politics? No, I don't think we have, right?
No, not really.
Wait, do they mean like us internally, or like us with other people?
That's also a good
outside?
question.
I mean, other people definitely.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
I don't think
wish
us.
I didn't
I'll be
have
honest.
to.
I live in a place where there's not a lot of people to argue with. Like, they exist, but I can spot them from a mile away and avoid them. And, like, I don't argue with anyone online because that's just, like, I might as well punch myself in the balls. Like, what am I accomplishing by doing that? So.
All right, here's one. Who wins, Schnars versus Lesnar, but Schnars can pay 12 poor people to make a human wall around him?
Oh, I like that. Poor
Suzanne,
people...
my wife, texted me a picture of this question and Joe's response, which I appreciated. So,
What was Joe's response?
I
think it was just John. Like, I had faith in you, buddy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's very, all right, we got a couple more here. Speaking of Great British Baking Show, what's your opinion on Matt Lucas on the latest collection? So I'm only on like the third collection that's on Netflix, so I don't know who this person is.
Oh, he's the
him.
actor. Yeah.
And he and Noel have like really good chemistry. I mean, I obviously miss Sandy, but I mean, Matt's.
Here's what I personally like: the competition part of it, the baking part of it. It's all good. Like, it'll always carry me through. I am very anti any of the hosts after the first batch. Like, I didn't know that all this. I just watched on Netflix for the first time and had no idea there was like a changeover at some point. And started the next season, was like, what the fuck is this? And then I had to go like down the Google rabbit hole to find out what happened. It was a travesty, Schnars.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I've kind of like stayed out of it, but my wife has like read about some of the like behind the scenes stuff, and I like whatever. I don't want to know. I am curious, like, why did they replace the woman who was on the 7th season for the 8th season for a reason?
Who did they replace? The
so Matt Ball's like the
shorter
guy,
old lady.
And so basically now it's like the black-haired, the
Noel,
tall black-haired guy, Noel, and then now this Matt Waller, the two
I mean,
comics
honestly,
versus
probably because that lady was super not funny or at all a comedian, and they put her in that role, and it was like, why are you
she
here?
was fine.
Sandy, I liked Sandy.
Which was Sandy? I only know like the two original hosts, and I loved them, and it makes me sad that they're gone. This is good. This is good talk right here, guys.
Yeah.
All right. This one, I actually feel really bad that I misunderstood and replied with some stupid comment. Is there anything watching David Venable can't fix? And I misread it, and I thought he was asking about a show, and I just made a joke about how no one's watching that. But David is David from At Home with David on QVC. And no, there's nothing. Because, like, I'll tell you, if there's a way to get into the holiday spirit and you don't want to watch Hallmark movies, just watch David sell his Christmas wares on QVC. It is, like, the most amazing comfort food without packing on the pounds, John. And it makes me, like, legitimately so happy.
I don't get it, but
I'm happy for you, Joe.
Yeah. And also, the wife and I have discovered that we order a lot of stuff when we're high on Saturday nights and forget about it. And then it shows up like 5 months later.
Can I ask you a question, Joe?
Yeah.
How does that work? Like, if you're watching QVC and you call in, do they have like an account for you? Do they just know who you are? Like when you, how do you?
Oh, you
pay?
don't even have to call in anymore. Like I just have the QVC and HSN apps on my phone, and you can just fire it up.
Right, it's 2020.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know why I was like 1980s technology.
But there's a lot of ones that are like, hey, here's like cheesecakes, but they're not being released for like 4 months, so you'll get them around the holidays. And we'll order it, forget about it, and then all of a sudden we just get like a package, and it's like just fucking food at your door. It's not bad. It's not a bad way to live.
Wild. I don't know why it never occurred to me there'd be an app. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, an app for what?
Home Shopping
QVC.
Network and QVC.
Yes.
I guess I thought you were sending in like self-addressed stamped envelopes and shit.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it does kind of take the fun out of it, right? Because like in days of yore, you'd be watching HSN, like you had to call and order it that moment.
Did you ever do that in Days of Yore?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Now it's
How
like
old
you
were
can
you?
fire
Okay,
up the
tell
app.
me, when did you start with this problem?
So I remember as a kid we would order some random stuff.
Really?
But like the wife and I got into it when I was on paternity leave and home, and like we were just up all night with like the kid, and we would just have Home Shopping Network. And,
I legit
like, just zone
never
it.
like I never thought of this thing as anything other than like a punchline to like a late night joke until I met you. Like I never met anyone that actually did this. It's fascinating.
It's like surprisingly relaxing, like, and especially like I have like my favorite host, David by far is my favorite, and it's just like fun, stupid, goofy, and you watch it as like a goof, and then like 3 days later you're like, oh no, I think we really do need this stuff. And then you like end up ordering it. So, you know, give it a go.
Wild.
All right, last but not least, Orange Julius or Orange Creamsicle or no orange at all.
What does he mean? Like a creamsicle, like a pop kind of situation, like a
think
frozen
I would
so.
say
confection?
all like, well, I would say either of the first two. Do you have to pick between?
I'm going
them?
creamsicle, honestly, because an Orange Julius is too much acid. Like,
Oh, disagree. Like
It's
I'm
real. It's like a real
But, like,
orange.
Orange creamsicle popsicle. Hell yeah.
I am like a child of the 80s, and getting an Orange Julius at the mall was like the highlight of my week if we went. So I will always stand by an Orange Julius.
cool.
And that's it. We're done.
Love it.
I will say that I make a green smoothie that tastes just like, I mean, I know y'all don't know what the Varsity is, but the Varsity's Orange Julius, and it's sublime.
What is the varsity?
A really, really greasy drive-in,
Oh,
That
that's
does
but it's like
sound
a
good.
staple of Atlanta.
nice.
I hope it never closes and you get the blues.
I
The-
don't eat at the Varsity except to get Orange Julius's, but it's been around for quite some time. I think it'll survive.
That would be the Varsity Blues, Eric, if it closed.
Nope, I'm
Yeah, with
ignoring
the-
that.
with
Just a
the,
heads up.
the whipped
Nope.
cream.
Did you hear that, John?
The whipped cream
I,
boobies.
I was picking up on it.
John, it's called Wick Talk.
I love
where
you, but you're not
where
getting
Wiccans go to talk.
those. Nope.
All right, guys. We did it. We did a show. There you go. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. Don't forget, if you want a live stream of the show every single week, check out patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You can also get access to back episodes and, of course, Slack, the weirdest, most random horror community you could ever possibly join, with a bunch of very lovable weirdos, too. Yeah, that's going to do it for the Craft Legacy. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you next week.
See yous.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.